So we have discussed the introduction to Sri Isopanishad, which has been given by Srila Prabhupada at London Conway Hall. Yeah. And we have also learned the invocation mantra in the last session. Yeah. So we have also seen the overview of Sri Isopanishad. Yeah, it has 18 mantras, and the different sections of Isopanishad we have tried to appreciate in the previous class. Maybe for a brief revision, I will just try to share the screen which shows the sectioning. So in the first section, the invocation speaks about how everything is perfect. Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamidachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avasishyate. So in this invocation mantra, we have appreciated how everything of God's creation is perfect. Purnam, it's complete. Yeah. So, and in this mantra 1, we're going to learn about how everything is the property of God, Isha. And in mantra 2, we will see what are the benefits of following Ishavasyam. Yeah, one who lives in harmony with Ishavasyam, what is the benefit? And mantra 3 speaks about if someone who does not live in harmony with the Ishavasyam principle, how they suffer. So this is technically the section 1 of the Sri Isopanishad book. There are 18 mantras, and this is the overview of the first 3 mantras, including the invocation. Invocation speaks about how everything is perfect. Mantra 1 speaks about everything is a property of God, either Ishavasyam principle. Section mantra 2 speaks about living in harmony with this principle, the benefits. Mantra 3 speaks about not living in harmony with Ishavasyam, how a person suffers. So this is Sri Isopanishad at a glance, the first section. So today, first let us recite this mantra together. I would highly appreciate if at your end you're also reciting this mantra. So this is mantra 1. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma gridha kasya swiddhanam. Again. Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma gridha kasya swiddhanam. Anybody from your from the audience, would you like to unmute and recite the verse?
Isavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magradha kasya svidhanam.
Yes. So this is a verse to be learnt by heart. Actually, all the disciples of Prabhupada, some of them, they know the entire Isopanishad by heart. That is all the 18 mantras. I remember in during this Kumbh Mela, when this Kumbh Mela has occurred during the time of Srila Prabhupada, I've read this in the memories of Yamuna Mataji. They used to go and take bath in the Triveni Sangam, even before the Mangalarti time. That's around 2:33. And after taking bath, they used to recite the entire Isopanishad, all the mantras, and then the Guru Parampara mantras, and then begin to chant. So it's a good idea to learn many verses from the Sri Isopanishad. Okay, so translation. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So this is the translation to this verse. So the Vedic life is essentially, I will try to give you a picture of it. There is God, there are Brahmanas, and there are Kshatriyas. Yeah. So God, Lord Krishna, belongs to the spiritual realm. Yeah. And there are Brahmanas. Who are the Brahmanas? Brahmanas is Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. Those who know about transcendence. Yeah. And they are like the connection between God. Actually, they're also called Bhudevas. They're considered actually as those who are not belonging to this realm because their consciousness is always fixed in the transcendental realm. Yeah. So these are the Brahmanas. But what is their role in the society is to connect that transcendence and train the Kshatriyas especially, give knowledge to them about the transcendental realm. And Kshatriyas are that body of the society who are like the Naradevas. Yeah. So there is Krishna, there are Brahmanas who are the Bhudevas, who, although situated in the material world, do not belong to this material world because their consciousness is always fixed in Brahman. And there are Kshatriyas who rule the society, and they're called the Naradevas. Yeah, because they're the lord of the Naras. And they used to submit to the knowledge of the Brahmanas and conduct their activities according to the teachings that have been given to them by the Brahmanas. And what did these kings do? The kings assimilated the knowledge given to them by the Brahmanas and exhibited that personally and even publicly, the understanding of that knowledge. Like, for example, during the Ratha Yatra, what happened? The kings publicly displayed the proprietorship of the Lord by actually taking a broom and sweeping the streets. Yeah, even till date, this custom is prevalent. Yeah, every time before the Rath Yatra had started, the Gajapati, the king of Orissa, is called Gajapati. He comes and he's given a broom and he sweeps the road before the cart starts. So, although this is a small gesture, what does this convey? This conveys very loudly and clearly that, although I am the king of this place, the supreme proprietor is Jagannath, Lord Jagannath, or God. He is the proprietor. And I am merely a trustee and I am his servant. So, this is a public display of the understanding of the Vedic literature, acknowledging God as the proprietor, and I am a mere servant or subordinate or a trustee and not the owner. Yeah. So this is a very, very important system and beautiful system because Yadyad Achariti Sreshta Tat Tat Eveta Rojana. The king is showing by example that although I am the king and I am owning everything, ultimately the proprietor is God and I am his servant. So when the king himself is acknowledging this truth, all the subordinates who are like the remaining classes of the society, the Vaishyas, the Shudras, and everybody else, for that matter, they are, they follow the same principle. Yes, God is the supreme authority and we are simply the subordinates of God. So this is the original Vedic system where this understanding of the Ishavasyam principle, that God is a supreme proprietor, is prevalent within the society because of the system of the Varnashram that was given. So we also appreciate this system that in the example of King Kulashekar Alvar, who the South Indian king of the Chera dynasty, who lived perhaps in the 11th century AD. Yeah. He used to come and every day read out the reports of the kingdom to Lord Ananta Padmanabha Swami, acknowledging him as the actual proprietor of the kingdom and himself as a servant. Yeah, he used to go and read out the how his kingdom is doing, the statistics. He used to submit, acknowledging Ananta Padmanabha Swami as a king. So this is the original Vedic system. But currently, if we look at our society, we open the newspapers, how the economy is running, it's full of, it's always a fight between the capitalists and communists. So what is capitalism and communism? We will go through that in the course of our study. Let me continue. Let us continue this. The purport. So what is Ishavasyam? Ishavasyam is Isha. Isha means God. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. So Isha comes from the word, Isha, who is God. Idam Sarvam, and Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat. So Isha is by the Lord. Avasyam. So what is Avasyam? Vasyam means Vasa. Vasa means the place. Everything is a place of God. Or, like Srinivasa. Vasa means the sthana, something that belongs to somebody. Somewhere, a place of residence is called Vasa. Right? So Isha Vasyam means, everything that, belongs to God, or, place where God resides, or a place that is controlled by God. Yeah, that's what Isha Vasyam means. So Vedic knowledge is infallible because it comes down to the perfect disciplic succession of spiritual masters, beginning with the Lord himself. Since he spoke the first word of Vedic knowledge, the source of this knowledge is transcendental. So this first paragraph speaks about how Vedas are a source of infallible knowledge. Because why? They're coming from Lord Krishna himself. Yeah, they're apaurusheya, which indicates that they're not delivered by mundane person. Paurusheya, apaurusheya. Apaurusheya, that means not from a mundane person. The words are spoken directly by the Lord himself. And that is why the Vedas are beyond the 4 defects of the common knowledge. What are those 4 defects? The Vedas are given by the Lord, who does not commit mistakes. Yeah, he's not subject to illusion. He does not have any propensity to cheat others, and his senses are perfect. Yeah, that is why Vedas are apaurusheya. So, and anybody who has these 4 defects, like the human beings, cannot deliver perfect knowledge. So the Vedas are, that is why, called source of perfect knowledge. And these Vedas are given by Lord and have been transmitted to the heart of Brahma. This is what Srimad Bhagavatam first chapter and first verse is speaking about. Teni Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Yeah, the Vedic knowledge has been imparted by Lord Krishna into the heart of Brahma. Yeah, Hrida means to the heart. Adi Kavi, who is the Adi Kavi? Adi Kavi is Lord Brahma himself. So this is how the Vedic knowledge has been imparted. It has been given by Lord Krishna, imparted to the heart of Lord Brahma, who is the creator of this material universe, And from Brahma, the disciplic succession has started. Brahma has given it to Narada. Narada has given it to Vyas. Vyasadev has, compiled the Vedic literature, and a disciplic succession started from him. And this is how Vedic knowledge is descending knowledge coming directly from Lord Krishna himself. And we have learned the division of the Vedic literature, how originally there was one Veda, which is the Yajur Veda, and Vyasadev has divided this one Veda into 4 Vedas, the Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Sam. Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. Yeah, these are the 4 Vedas that he has divided the original one Veda into. Yeah, and then apart from the Vedas, Vyasadeva has also given the 108 Upanishads, the 18 Puranas, yeah, the 2 Itihasas, yeah, and after that the Vedanta Sutra, and finally the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the broad division of the Vedic literature, and Isopanishad falls under the category of Upanishad. So there are 108 Upanishads, and of which there are 11 principal Upanishads. So what are these 11 principal Upanishads? The Katha Upanishad, the Kena Upanishad, the Mundaka Upanishad, the Mandukya Upanishad, the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, the Chandogya Upanishad, the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, yeah, and Taittiriya Upanishad, Aittiriya Upanishad. So these are 11, and Isopanishad. So these are the 11 important Upanishads, and of which Isopanishad is very, very prominent, and that is why Srila Prabhupada has given extensive commentary on this particular Upanishad, Isopanishad. So Upanishad, the very meaning of Upanishad is that branch of Vedic study, which is supposed to be especially, it has different meanings. One of the meaning is, it is supposed to be studied. It is supposed to be studied under the tutelage of a teacher. Upanishad. Shad means to sit. Yeah, ni means close to. Upa means close to. Upanishad means sitting close to a teacher. One is supposed to acquire this knowledge. Upanishad. Also, Upanishad has another meaning. Upanishad means, Upa is again close. Nishad means the literature that takes one closer to God, closer to the understanding of God. That is also the meaning of Upanishad. There is yet another meaning of Upanishad. Upanishad means something that will loosen the bondage of the material network. Yeah. So this is all the different meanings of Upanishads. And Isopanishad is one such Upanishad which actually brings one closer to the understanding of God. So this is briefly about the position of the Vedas, how they are Apaurisheya. And Isopanishad is one branch of one of the example of the Upanishads. Recently, His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj has given us, all these principal Upanishads in our. So, if anybody is interested in learning the Upanishads, can actually buy this. It has to be studied under a teacher, but it is available in the ISKCON world. Yeah, the 11 principal Upanishads. Yeah. So in this first chapter, the first 2 paragraphs just what we have studied, speaks about the glories of Vedic knowledge. Paragraph 3 and 4 speaks about how Lord is a proprietor of everything. The 5th paragraph is speaking about what is the example of one's quota. This whole verse is about that, one should accept what is set aside as one's quota. right? What is it one's quota? How do we understand this? That is fifth paragraph that speaks about that. 6 to 8 paragraph speaks about what is the example of the quota in human possession. And 9th and 10th speaks about example of the quota in terms of diet. And the 11th and the last verse speaks about how to live according to the Ishavasyam principle. There are some, so Srila Prabhupada has written very beautiful purports. And I would want to focus on this purport and discuss, because that's the way we learn Acharya Upasanam. We learn from a teacher. Yeah. So first two paragraphs, we discussed about the glory of Vedic knowledge. And then here Prabhupada speaks about the Lord's proprietorship in the paragraph 3 and 4. So let us read a couple of sentences. So the Lord's proprietorship over everything within this universe is confirmed in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if any of you remember this verse. Bhumirapo nalo bhayur kham mano buddhirevacha ahamkaramiti me bhinna prakritirashtada. So the Panchabhutas and along with them, the mind, intelligence, and ego, they are the bhinna prakritir, external energy of the Supreme Lord. Then this external energy is also called the inferior energy. And beyond this inferior energy is the superior energy. Yeah. And that superior energy is the para prakriti. And the jivatma belongs to that para prakriti. And Lord Krishna says that this jivatma is exploiting the inferior energy. So this is the reality that we see around us. Yeah, the living entity in the status of the human being, what they do, they claim proprietorship over everything. Real estate is a grand example of this. Yeah. And in the name of that, like even right now, if any of you know, the Waqf board, and other such laws, so many laws, somehow to claim proprietorship over the land, over the natural resources, over power, over positions. So the mentality of the human being is to claim proprietorship over whatever they can lay their hands on. Including, when we are traveling by a bus, somebody puts a handkerchief and claims proprietorship over the seat. So this is a tendency of a conditioned human being, especially one who does not understand that everything is, belongs to God and He is the supreme proprietor. Yeah. So aparayam itastvanyam prakritin vidhime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedham dharyate jagat. So this is a verse which speaks about how there is yet another energy, which is the para prakriti. Yeah, and they are jiva bhuta. They are the jivas. And yayedam dharyate jagat. And they are exploiting this inferior energy. So Lord Krishna is telling this to Arjuna. So there is nothing in the universe that does not belong to either para prakriti and or apara prakriti. What does it indirectly mean? If you see everything is either there is dead matter and there is life, which is in the form of the jivatma, the soul. So there is inferior energy and the superior energy. That's what this whole material world is made up of. The inferior energy is like, made of the 5 elements. And there is superior energy, that is a jivatma. So, and Krishna is declaring in the Bhagavad Gita very clearly in the 7th chapter that this is coming from me. So it's clear everything is belonging to Krishna. Yeah. And just for us to simply acknowledge that and to live by that in itself is, following the Ishavasyam principle, the principle for ultimate peace. Yeah. So there is so much of strife There's so much of war in this world. Be it the Ukrainian war or the Gaza, and there's so many wars happening across the world. And God knows what's going to come. There are some predictions that, from the year 2025, the next 5 years, the world is going to see a lot of wars. What is this? What is the root cause of all these wars? Because of failure to acknowledge the Ishavasyam principle, that everything is ultimately the property of one supreme God. That's the root cause of all strife. So because the Supreme Being, the absolute personality of Godhead, is a complete person, he has complete and perfect intelligence to adjust everything by means of his different potencies. So because everything is, what is the sign of proprietorship? The sign of proprietorship is controllership. So because everything is owned by Lord Krishna, he is the controller of everything. Just like how the planets in the sky, in the universe, are floating. Why they're floating? Why they're not colliding? Why they're in perfect harmony? Because there is a supreme controller behind these, universal phenomena. And why somebody can be in control of something? Because they're the proprietor of something, of everything. So he thus remains the ultimate controller, sustainer, and dictator of everything. This is understanding Isha. Isha means the ultimate controller, sustainer, and dictator. Possessor of all and he's a possessor of all the potencies, the knower of everything, and the benefactor of everyone. And he's full of inconceivable opulence, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. So this is a definition of Bhagavan. So this is to understand that God is the supreme proprietor of everything. So how do we understand? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself declares that he's the origin of the Prakriti and Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti. And the symptom of the proprietorship is controllership. Everything is controlled by God. So if we understand this, what is the result of such an understanding? If one is intelligent enough to understand that everything is, belonging to Krishna, what is this next thing that will happen? They accept what is set aside as one's quota. And that is having intelligence. And having a good heart is acknowledge with gratitude that, everything is belonging to God, and let me be grateful to God. So this is exactly what bhakti is. Bhakti is not a mere sentiment. It is Buddha Bhava Samanvita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam Buddha Bhava Samanvita. Lord Krishna is telling, oh Arjuna, this is the way to worship me. What is the way to worship me? First, understand that everything belongs to me and everything is emanating from me. I am the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. From me, everything is coming. And I am within everything. Iti matva bhajante mam. This is how you need to worship me. Buddha bhava samanvita, with intelligence and with bhava, with emotion. This is the way of approaching God. This is the way of knowing God. And this is the way of expressing our devotion to God. The first and basic thing is acknowledge and understand everything is the property of God. This is the first step towards God consciousness. Somehow we miss out this. We think that bhakti is something a very, sublime. I guess it is sublime. We understand bhakti in a very disconnected way. God is there, Bhagavan in his spiritual abode. I am here, and my business is to simply finish off and, go back. The aim is understood. The goal is clear, but the path is begin from where we are. Because unless we understand and acknowledge everything around us as divine, and and unless we uh, develop the samskara of seeing Krishna everywhere, even in the surroundings, even in the objects in front of us, like in the mobile, in the laptop, you know, this is separated energy of Krishna. Unless we have that realization, unless we experience that samskara, we cannot progress to the higher stages of bhakti. Yeah, this is a very important aspect of God realization. To understand and acknowledge everything as a property of God. See, daily, we are enjoying unlimited electricity supply, right? And how do we, like in all our houses, how do we acknowledge our gratitude? May not be a gratitude. How do we acknowledge our responsibility for what we have received? We pay the electricity bill, right? Whether we like it or not. If we don't pay, what happens? The electricity bill is gone. There is no power at home. So then, if this is so with the electricity, then what about the sunlight? Aren't we getting sunlight every day, 24 by 7, unasked? Even that is power. So, how are we repaying for that? How are we acknowledging that? So, this is sensitivity towards nature, sensitivity towards what we are receiving, sensitivity towards, the person behind. Yeah. I recently read about, I heard a very nice statement. What the earth we are enjoying is not an inheritance from our ancestors, but it is some, we have borrowed from the future of our next generation. It shifts our responsibility so much. When we think, I just got it from all my ancestors, so I can enjoy in the way I can. So this is an enjoyment and exploitative mindset. But if we realize that we are borrowing, from the future of the next generation, we live with responsibility. So yes, and especially this is possible by understanding and acknowledging that everything is the property of God, Krishna. The sunlight that we are experiencing, the air that we are breathing, the stars, the moon. The 15th chapter says that, Somo Bhutva Rasatmaka, that Lord Krishna is, the form of the moon, is giving the rasa to the vegetables. Yeah. So the vegetables are growing because of the moonshine. They're giving the taste to the vegetables. So everything around us, if you read the 15th chapter, the Purushottama Yoga, we understand how everything is, Lord Krishna is pervading through everything. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita. Pranapana Samayutta Pachamyannam Chaturvidam. He's a fire in the digestion. He's the memory, he's intelligence. And he's in the sun and the moon. So he's everywhere within every atom. And everything belongs to him. And so this is the Ishavasyam understanding. So an intelligent person who understands this accepts only those things that are set aside by the Lord as his quota. What does this mean? That means it is exactly the opposite of exploitative mindset. Exploitative mindset means I already have what I have and I will grab more and more and still more. So this is exactly what is the capitalistic philosophy. It makes a person greedy and more greedy. So a person, example, Srila Prabhupada is giving a beautiful example. Take, for example, our dwelling, which is made of earth, wood, stone, iron, cement, and many other material things. If we think in terms of Isopanishad, we must know that we cannot produce any of these building materials ourselves. Yeah, we can bring them together and transform into different shapes. A laborer cannot claim to be a proprietor of a thing just because he has worked hard to manufacture it. So there is this beautiful example of a conversation between Srila Prabhupada and a person who was a owner of a manufacturer of glass company. So he came and introduced himself as he's the proprietor of a particular factory which manufactures glass. So Prabhupada asked him, so from where did you get that glass? So he started speaking about the raw material. So Prabhupada asked, from where did you get that raw material? So ultimately, it all went back to, God's creation. So he had to accept it. Yes, it is God's creation. Yeah, it is God's property, of which we are trying to merely transform in particular ways and make business out of it. So this acknowledgement is a very, very important principle. One who acknowledges the proprietorship of God will never have an exploitative mentality. Yeah. So that is the cornerstone of peace for this world. So it is very important for each of you who are attending this session. Please give it a thought. Please give it a deeper thought. How this particular understanding at an individual level and at a global level can actually pave the pathway to world peace, of which there are so many discussions, but not many actions. Yeah. Here, Prabhupada says, in modern society, there is always a quarrel between the laborers and the capitalists. Yeah, this quarrel has taken an international shape and the world is in danger. It is very true. This world is in a dangerous situation right now. I know of people, there are some, recently we were just talking to one of our ex-teachers. So we've just asked if, what are your future plans? So this person has already bought a piece of farmland in Krishna district and he kept it aside because, when he's going through the current world affairs and future projections, it looks like a world war is imminent. So in a very proactive way, he just bought a land for himself, which is close to a fertile, which is a very fertile one, which is close to a flowing river. So that in the worst situation, he has his own piece of land where he can cultivate, grow food, and live in a self-sufficient way. So, people are living in a very insecure world around because the world is in danger, because the superpowers are trying their best to declare their dominion over others. Yeah. So here Prabhupada is saying the human race should take the Vedic wisdom of Sri Isopanishad and not quarrel over material possession. One must be satisfied with whatever privileges are given to him by the mercy of the Lord. There can be no peace if the communists or capitalists or any other party claims proprietorship over the resources of nature, which are entirely the property of the Lord. Yeah. Prabhupada writes interestingly, the capitalists cannot curb the communists simply by political maneuvering, nor can the communists defeat the capitalists by fighting for stolen bread. If they do not recognize a proprietor of Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the property they claim to be their own is stolen. So what is this capitalism and communism? I'll just give you a brief understanding of what these two are. So communist means, so there are three things. There are three comparisons. I will end with this. There is the capitalistic mindset, there is communist mindset, and there is varnashram. So let us compare these three. So what is a the communist mindset? So communist mindset means they are striving for artificial material equality. That means we are all one And, everybody should be given equal privilege and equal reward for everything. So what is the result of this kind of a communist mindset is that the ones who are talented are not rewarded. Yeah. As a result of which there is lot of laziness that creeps in and lethargy. So because of this, there is a lot of dissatisfaction that results. So it's a very artificial equality, that has been created. This is what is communism all about. So the result of this kind of a society is that there is dissatisfaction because talent is not rewarded, and lethargy it's an outcome. Then what is capitalist society? Capitalist society means wealth determines power. The rich gets get richer, and the poor get poorer. This is a typical capitalist society. So the wealthy exploit the needy, and there is cutthroat competition that we see. There's a rat race for everything, and there's a lot of greed for money. Everybody gets greedy and greedy after getting more and more. And a lot of greed is prevalent, and because of this excessive greed, there is again dissatisfaction. Yeah. So the predominant characteristic of a communist society is lethargy and non-rewarding of talent. And the predominant characteristic for capitalist society is greed. Greed breeds. So again, the result is dissatisfaction. But the Vedic Varnashram is very, very scientific. Yeah, very scientific. It's beyond this capitalist and communist society. Yeah, this is what Prabhupada calls as spiritual communism. What is spiritual communism? There is equality at the level of one's original identity as a spirit soul. As souls, we are all equal. Yeah, but materially, we are diversified. We have different psychophysical natures. And we are all engaging as per that psychophysical nature. This is the message of Bhagavad Gita, Swadharma. Yeah, we engage as per our psychophysical nature, but for the one same purpose. Our purpose is same. That is, the purpose of Varnashrama is Samsiddhir Haritoshanam, for the pleasure of God as a service to God. So Varnashrama system is a very scientific society. If you look into the details of it, it's a society that is based on sacrifice. Yeah, Brahmana has knowledge, but what does he do with his knowledge? He takes a responsibility of giving the knowledge to other three Varnas, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. The Kshatriya has power, but what does he do with the power? He protects the society. The Vaishya has money, but what is his duty? His duty is to give charity to other three Varnas. Yeah, he maintains them. Krishi Goraksha Vanijam. He does cultivation, agriculture. And he feeds the other three classes, and he does business and gives deliverables to the others. Yeah, he's maintaining the other three sections in this way. And the Shudras, they do their varna dharma of doing services, skilled labor for the other three varnas. So whatever is the strength of each of the varna, they're using it to maintain the other three varnas. That is why this is a very classic and very sustainable society, and that fosters harmony, that fosters direction to the society. Yeah, it's going in the direction of God consciousness. It's going in the direction of true advancement, materially and spiritually. So this is Varnashram, which is much far superior and scientific in comparison to capitalist and communism. Okay, so I will end the session here today with the last. And again, Prabhupada speaks about how this Ishavasyam principle can be followed by, when it is followed by human beings. It also manifests in how, in their lifestyle, in their eating habits. Yeah. So how Prabhupada very profoundly speaks about vegetarianism. Yeah. When we recognize God as the supreme proprietor, then, we offer our food to him, and accept the remnants as the prasadam. So this is what the devotee lifestyles the Vaishnavas follow. Yeah. And so jivo jivasya jivanam, this is like, there is there are carnivores and there are herbivores. So man by nature is made for vegetarian food. Yeah. And it is unnatural for him to consume meat. And but at the same time, Prabhupada also says that one need not be artificially proud that one is a vegetarian. Even vegetarian, there is some degree of violence that we are causing to the plants. So the idea is, to, with minimum violence, practice the injunction. So injunction is that there are foods that are worthy of being offered to the Supreme Lord. So those foods like milk, grains, fruits, these can be offered to the Lord with devotion, and they can be accepted as remnants. So this is what is set aside as quota. This is the understanding of what one's quota is. Yeah. So, and when those remnants are offered, the food is offered to the Lord, understanding that he is the supreme proprietor, and accepted in the sense of, yes, I will, we will give time for questions. We are ending the session. So that is accepting the remnants. So those who do not, here's a beautiful line which Srila Prabhupada makes here. Human life alone is a life of responsibility. Yeah, why? Because animals are karma free. Yeah, they're not bound by karmic reactions because they don't have the intelligence or privilege to inquire about higher truths and one's dharma. Yeah. So dharma is for the human beings. So human life alone is a life of responsibility. So, so how do we enact that responsibility? By acknowledging God as a proprietor and by being obedient to the laws of nature. Yeah. So that is a way of living Ishavasyam. A human being is therefore required to recognize the authority of the Supreme Lord and become his devotee. Yeah. So what is the way of becoming his devotee? Offer everything for the Lord's service and partake of the remnants of food offered to the Lord. Yeah. This will enable him to discharge his duty. So finally, the last paragraph, Prabhupada speaks about the root of sin is very, very important line. So I'm referring to the purport so much because Srila Prabhupada has given very, very beautiful sentences that cannot be, not acknowledged. So that's the reason why I'm just sharing with you, because these lines are very, very deep, very profound, very poignant. Prabhupada writes here, the root of sin is deliberate disobedience to the laws of nature through disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. So this is the root cause of all sin. And disobeying the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to a human being and to the society at large. So conversely, one who is sober, who knows the laws of nature, not influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion, is sure to be recognized by the Lord and thus become eligible to go back to Godhead. So what is the outcome of following the Ishavasyam principle is one becomes recognized in the eyes of Lord Krishna. Yeah. So if you're recognized by Lord Krishna, your path back to Godhead is clear. So this is the path of obedience and path of disobedience, to the Lord. So I will just quickly summarize what I spoke about today. Today we have learned about the first mantra of Sri Isopanishad. It's about Ishavasyam, the principle of Ishavasyam, that is, everything belongs to Lord. So while trying to learn that, we have seen and understood how Vedas are apaurisheya. They are perfect knowledge. They are free from the four defects. And Ishopanishad is a part of the Vedic knowledge. One amongst the 108 Upanishads and one amongst the 11 principal Upanishads. So this understanding Ishopanishad, and in the Ishopanishad, this is the very first mantra. And the first three mantras, along with the invocation, speak about how everything is in the Lord's creation is perfect and everything is a property of God. And what happens when we follow this Ishavasya, what happens if we don't follow Ishavasya. This is the first section of Sri Isopanishad. And then today we have learned about how in the first few paragraphs, we have seen about how, the Lord is a proprietor of everything, and the examples of quota in human possession. And we have seen how a person, an intelligent person who understands that God is proprietor of everything. What is the outcome of it? Now, how does he follow it? Or how does he live this reality in his own life? That is, by acknowledging God as a supreme proprietor, and offer his property, his belongings, and especially the food, in the yajna, and then accept remnants with gratitude. And finally, Srila Prabhupada concludes that the root cause of all sins is disobedience to the laws of God. We have also seen the difference between capitalism, communism, and Varnashram as a system as the answer to the modern ills. And Prabhupada even raised the red flag. The human society is in danger because of not following this principle, not acknowledging the proprietorship of God. Everybody wants to declare themselves as a superpower. And in that mad rush, God knows what all they're doing, having nuclear weapons and bombs and so many things. So the conclusion is, by living the Ishavasya principle, there can be world peace. There can be auspiciousness to one's life and auspiciousness to the society at large. Thank you all very much. So any questions? We have started at 7:15, so I'm ending at 8:15. This is a 1-hour session. Yes. Yeah. So I see a hand that was raised. Would somebody like to speak? So I see it as Sadhu Satyavrata Das. So would you like to turn on your video and ask your question? Yes, anybody has any questions or comments? Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Does somebody has any questions, comments? All right. Okay, so we will end here.